Hello Doctor, hello everyone. Today's presentation is about streamlined Spain food. We are الوليد المطاني, ماد البلوشي and أسعد النابي. Our presentation have three contacts. First, we will talk about some information about streamlined Spain food. Then we will move to the external anatomy, and last part is we'll show the internal anatomy of this fish. Starting with the scientific name of the fish, as you can see in the table. So the phylum was Chordata, and genus is Cygnus, and the species is Argentius. So the binomial name is Cygnus argentius. The oval, compressed, thin, and fusiform body of the streamlined Spain food. The short head has a pointed snout and doesn't have a high dorsal profile. The anal fin has 7 spines and 9 soft rays, whereas the dorsal fin has 13 spikes and 10 soft rays. The species coloration is that of the blue upper body with a silvery bottom body. Variable patterns, spots, and curving lines are common, especially on the lower flanks. The areas of the body is silvery yellow, with axial of the pectoral fin is yellow, while the base of the dorsal fin usually has a yellow stripe. The length of this fish is 25 centimeter or 9.8 inch, which is more common. The streamlined Spain food has a wide Indo-Pacific distribution, from the Red Sea to Mozambique and Madagascar south, and east into the Pacific Ocean as far as Victory Island, north to Japan and south to Australia. It has been recorded once in the Mediterranean Sea of Libya. The depth it may be found in lagoons, reefs, seaweeds, and seagrass beds. A depth of up to 40 meters or 130 feet. The other common names for this fish is forktail rabbitfish, schooling rabbitfish, or silver Spain food, as you can see in this picture where the fish is distributed. Now I will talk about life cycle of this fish. Depending on the studies, the species is short-lived with maximum age of 7 years. However, the females reach sexual maturity at 1.3 years. Moreover, there is a rapid population turnover. The study shows 85% of the population is under 3 years of age. In addition, the age distribution and total death rates were similar between both sexes. Also, females on average reach larger asymbiotic size by 2 cm compared with the males. In reproductive cycle demonstrated 2 annual activity peaks. One peak spawning occurred from the March to May or June, whereas a second, which is smaller peak, spanned August and September.
Okay, now let's go to the external anatomy of the fish. We will see the outer shell to the fish, and then we will see how to cut that part to get the very clear internal anatomy. This is the outer part of this fish. We have here a pectoral and pectoral and dorsal fin. We have a tail. Here we have the dorsal part, the pectoral part, anterior, posterior, and here we have the eyes, and here we have the mouth. And this is the lateral line, if we can see it. This is the lateral line for that fish. Okay, now let's go how to cut this fish. The first step of how to cut this fish is we can see it on here. But first we will cut the dorsal, the ventral part of this, the ventral part. We start to cut it very carefully, and then the second step we will cut the upper part of this fish from the ventral, and then we straight line from ventral to the dorsal part. This is the first two steps. Then we can join the two parts clearly. You can see here when we cut the ventral part and then we go the line from ventral to dorsal, then we can cut it easily. And the final step we will cut in this here, and in this part, and in this part we cut it by the we cut it by a scissor in this part and that part. And the last step, at what we can see here, the final image of this internal anatomy of the fish. This is the final image. You will see is compressed in small size.
Now let's move on to the internal anatomy of the streamlined spin foot. Here we go then with the internal anatomy. Here first of all we have heart, as we know that in the fishes, or the heart of the fishes is two-chambered and it is a single loop circulation. And here, as you can see clearly with the brown color, we have a liver. Actually, the liver in the fishes have four main functions: synthesis of the enzymes, process and storage of the food, bioformation, excretion, and metabolism. And here we have the stomach, and we know that the stomach is muscular and elastic for the holding the food, sometimes large prey. And as you can see clearly here, we have the spleen. Actually, the spleen have one main function, which is the blood filtration. Coming to the pancreas, actually the pancreas have two digestive functions. First is the exchronic secretion of the digestive enzymes like protease, lipase, and hydrolase into the intestine, while the second is the endocrine secretion of the hormone like insulin and glucagon, which is act to lower and rise the blood sugar. Here we have the swim bladder, and as you know, that swim bladder, it is full of the gas which help the fish to float. Now here we have, this is the testes. As you can see, it is the main part of the reproductive system of the fish. And here we have the gills. As we know that the gills are branching organs located on the side of the heads that have many small vessels. These vessels are called capillaries. And as we know that the fish opens its mouth to runs over the gills, and then and blood in the capillaries pick up the oxygen that is dissolved in water. This is actually the main function of the gills. And this is the esophagus. We know the esophagus is the liberatic with the mucus which leads to the stomach. Actually, it is the passage move the food to the or nutrients to the stomach. And here, as you can see clearly, here we have the kidneys. The kidneys is located above the swim bladder, and it is involved in excretion and regulation of the water within the fish. And again, coming to the heart is consist of two main parts. Here we have the atrium, as you can see here, and this part is the ventricle. And here we have the intestine. We know that the intestine is responsible for the absorption of the nutrients. It absorbs the nutrients. And here we have the anus. And as we know that the anus is to absorb water from the indigestible food and then pass the useless waste material out of the body.